And his greatest power is among the young, and that's the most refreshing and positive thing of the whole shebang, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tomorrow in our country. People like me are going to be leaving in the next 10 years.
Well, and tomorrow, just to remind all the people who will listen to this later, that November or December 16th is the next Ron Paul Money Bomb, and we encourage everybody to go online and donate to that for sure.
Well, we want you there, big time, $1,000 a piece.
Yep.
If you can't do it, that's okay, but try your best. He needs the money because he's got to get visibility. He did a number of ads recently in conjunction with Mr. Gingrich, who I won't even comment on. He's such a disgusting creature. And to let the people know where he's coming from. So he's perpetually going to need money, and you've got to help if you want your freedom.
Mm-hmm. As a quick anecdote, I drive the 5 freeway north every single morning and then every single evening to and from work. And on many of the bridges, Bob, there are posters for Ron Paul, and they're very clear, and they're there pretty much every single day I drive the 5 north or south.
Well, that's terrific to hear. I'm on with Bill Deagle, who lives in Encinitas. I think
sure.
They're actually, we know them.
Yeah, well, I'm on his program every 2 weeks.
Excellent.
I do lots of programs. I do about 30 or 40 a week.
Yeah, they're great people. Now, Bob, I just want to ask one more question before we finish this up. It's a question I don't hear you asked often. We talk much about gold and silver. Obviously, those two metals have been money for thousands of years, and they scare the paper bugs. What do you think about platinum and palladium among increasing geopolitical tensions? Platinum is of the rarest precious metals. Palladium, because of our geopolitical tensions with Russia, could see a decline in supply. Do you find that those could keep up with hyperinflation in the U.S. dollar, like gold and silver, or similar to?
Similar to. They always have. In fact, up until recently, platinum always ran ahead of gold for years and years, and that changed. And we're looking at lower inventories in South Africa. We're looking at 10% inflation that the government admits to in South Africa, which means higher prices, higher wages. Incidentally, I used to live in South Africa and Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe. And so I've been down a lot of those mines over there. And I think platinum and palladium are good investments. People should thoroughly understand them. The broker should be able to explain to them why and how you want to have that. And, of course, the gold and silver and the giant bull market, and it speaks for itself. And that's where the majority of money, I think, should be. But people, there's nothing wrong with adding those to your portfolio.
Mm-hmm. There have been also talks of worker strikes in the palladium mines in South Africa, which could have implications for supply.
Big implications. And they just got off one strike, and they're trying to nationalize the mines down there. Look, I live there, and I speak Shona, or at least I did when I lived there, which is one of the tribal languages. And in the mines, they have a language that they made up called Fanakala, and I had a good working knowledge of that too. So, because so many of the guys that worked in the mines came from different tribes, they couldn't understand each other. So everything was Fanakala, including the white supervisory workers. They had to learn it as well because they couldn't communicate otherwise. It's just a little tidbit to throw in there. And but anyway, they have to have higher wages. Look, if they admit to 10% inflation, it's 20, and that means wages got to go up 20%.
Mm-hmm.
As simple as that. And if they can't make money, they'll shut the mine down, and that means less production is going to come to the surface and be made into ingots for industry or whatever. And so, no, there's a lot of questionable things. War. And if we have war and Russia gets involved, they could have problems producing. I mean, if you remember, during the era of Stalin, very little came out of the ground, particularly in silver and gold. I mean, that industry didn't get started really going again in Russia until about 5 years ago.
You know, Bob, you mentioned war, and I didn't want to. I know we're trying to wrap it down here, but you've done so many things, and you're one of the true, people on the front lines here. With everything going on in the Middle East, what do you see happening there? I mean, everything that I see looks like we're going to have a much larger war over there in the near future.
Well, when anything is a no-brainer, maybe it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But the Syrian-Iranian affair looks to be real. Now, there's another element in here. The government in Egypt is now going to be run by the Muslim Brotherhood. And the Muslim Brotherhood was put together in 1923 by MI6, which is the CIA equivalent in England. And then the CIA, in the form of the OSS, came into action in the late 30s and through the 40s. And the Muslim Brotherhood is a socialistic, right-wing organization, intolerant of anybody that doesn't agree with them. And during the Second World War, just to show you how fascistic they are, they sent 2 full divisions of men to fight on the Eastern Front, along with the German soldiers against the Russians. So you know where these guys are coming from. They are controlled still by MI6 and the CIA. Now, I expect there's going to be trouble in the Middle East between different factions. So that's something else to think about that nobody talks about. Because I talk to a lot of people who are in the Middle East, and they tell me these things. So there could be not only the NATO aggression against Syria and maybe Russia. We don't know whether Russia will get involved or not, or withdraw from their base, or whether China will get involved. And so that withstanding, we may see trouble between different Muslim nations.
And, with Russia and China kind of backstopping Iran, I would hate to see that draw all the large powers into it. Or are we going to kind of just keep backstopping some of these smaller nations?
It all depends on where the Illuminati is in their program and how much they have to expedite it, because we are breathing down their necks.
Mm-hmm.
And they've known that for the last 3 years, big time.
Right.
So do they have to act and have a major war? We don't know. Maybe. But I want to tell you something. They mix it up with the Chinese and the Russians. They've got equally good equipment now as the Americans have. In fact, the Russian fighter plane is better than the Raptor. And not appreciably better, but slightly better. And Russians are not stupid people. I spent years spying on them, so I know how smart they are. And people always want to underestimate their enemy. Well, don't do that with the Russians. They're not dumb.
Again, another really good case for trying to get Ron Paul in office, because that will probably lessen any of our problems in the Middle East.
There won't be any more wars.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. So all you people out there who have children and grandchildren who might become victims of selective service induction into the military force, Ron Paul is going to make sure that we will pull our troops out of all of these places that they're at, and this expansion into this colonialism of the bankers and those in the financial sector is going to end.
Mm-hmm. Well, Bob, we'd love to thank you for joining us in Del Mar, California this morning. We're sitting on the 101. We have a view of the ocean, and it's important to look at the outside every day and realize that despite all of the tragedy that we have to experience day to day, that there are many great things in this world, and it's important for us to stay healthy and stay sane by maintaining healthy relationships and eating healthy. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Liberty Coin and Precious Metals Radio. We hope to talk with you again. Bob, you're a true patriot. You're very important to the freedom movement. You talk about the way things are, as Zbigniew Brzezinski termed reality in his book Between Two Ages. And so again, we'd like to thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And if you send me a link of the program, we'll put it in the publication so everybody can hear it. And for those of you who want to reach me, I'm at forecaster.com. The International, FORECASTER.com. Or you can email me, and that address is Bob, B-O-B, at INTFORECASTER.com. Bob at intforecaster.com. We answer all questions. We'll give you free copies of the publication, whether they're mailed or by email, and anything you want, we'll help you with.
And you really do answer all questions. Bob, what's the website where people can go to subscribe to the International Forecaster?
The International Forecaster, which is spelled FORECASTER.com.
Again, that's the internationalforecaster.com. Thank you so much, Bob. You'll be getting a link to this video shortly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
thanks for being on the front lines, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Bye.